Lech, welcome. California Honeydrops have been around for a long time. This is the first time you've been on eTown. It's so cool.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
Glad you're here. Yeah, it's great. You and I were both born not in the United States of America, but then we came here and when we were little. Mm-hmm. You in Poland, and from Poland. And the difference is when you got here, your parents spoke Polish in your household. You grew up speaking a different language.
How do you know these things?
Oh, man. I was there.
This is getting weird.
I'm older than you. Remember that time when you were 4 and you stole my wagon?
And I sat on my brother's violin. Yeah. I remember that. Yes, this is true. Yeah, we didn't speak English at home.
Yeah.
But it's okay.
Yeah. I mean, I'm sure, but I'm also I really appreciate the fact that you have found such a deep pathway into so many different styles of music and found a comfort zone in all of them. And I just wonder how that happens. Like, did your parents have like a crazy record collection when you were a kid, or how did you get launched into this diverse pile of music that you love?
I mean, definitely started with, the music that my mom and dad liked. My dad loved old jazz. Yeah. He liked everything from old New Orleans jazz, especially Sidney Bechet, and Louis Armstrong, especially.
Were those records easy for him to find in Poland?
I think it was really hard to find stuff in Poland for sure. But they would pipe that stuff in through the Voice of America or through Radio Free Europe at the time. Yeah. Yeah. And I think at the beginning it was. You could get sent to jail for just listening to it. I think. When my dad was born in 1937, so he lived through the worst of the terror post-war. Yeah. But by the time I was a kid, obviously in Poland, you could listen to anything you wanted. Yeah. And my mom really encouraged me musically too. She would go and get CDs for me and stuff like that. But later, I just got
Did she like that same kind of music, or did she like more contemporary stuff?
My mom was a kid of the 60s. She was quite a bit younger than my dad, and she was more into like the Beatles and the Rolling Stones and stuff like that. Yeah. But she had us listening to the oldies station, so we heard the Sam Cooke. We heard all the old soul music. Me and my brother really gravitated towards some of that stuff. That's cool. But I just got interested in getting down to I think sometime when I was in high school, I got really interested in just sources, I was just like, where does this come from? Where does this come from?
Yeah, it's like a mystery. It's like, how do you solve this puzzle? I see that thing, but that's connected to this thing, and where did that start?
Yeah, and that's kind of where it really got going on my musical path, because I heard my friends in college, were in high school, were all deadheads too. Yeah. And Jerry lives.
Some people never grow up.
Yeah. Exactly. And lucky are they. We found out that some of the songs they were doing on those Jerry acoustic things were by this guy John Hurt. So one of my friends just went to the CD store and got a John Hurt CD. Yeah. I think that was the thing that changed everything. When I heard John Hurt play the guitar, I was like, what is that? Because I had just been playing trumpet until then. Yeah. And I was like, and then that started me down the rabbit hole of like field recordings and really old shit. The older the better. Yeah. And when you were, not to imply that you're older than you probably are, but when you were in high school, was there such a thing as internet and just, YouTube and... In my country...
Because in my case, I didn't
have that. We have bear walking down the street, bring you CDs sometimes.
Yeah. Bear. Maybe if I play fiddle, the bear will dance. Yeah. But he's nice bear. Yeah. Well, what's funny about it to me is that, I grew up where it was a complete random thing. If you found somebody had a record, like I couldn't go to a CD store and get a John Hurt record. Yeah. Like that wasn't something I could do. But if somebody had one, I was like, whoa, what's that? And then I'd have to, find one somewhere. It wasn't easy. But the mystery.
It was a little bit easier for us. It wasn't as easy as it is now, but you could find the stuff. Yeah. And it was starting to get to where you could order it online. By the time I was in college, we could order everything into our college library. Amazing. So we didn't have to pay for it.
Amazing. Yeah.
Oberlin College Library.
Yeah.
Music library. Yep.
I knew I should have gone to college.
Yeah. Some people never grow up, you know.
And they're lucky. They're the lucky ones. But we sort of, I guess I can assume that your dad's love of traditional, New Orleans music led you to trumpet, and trumpet, and then John Hurt sort of derailed you from that path.
Yeah, and that's kind of true.
And then, and everything else just opened up from there. All the other things, country music, New Orleans, Memphis, 60s soul, all that stuff just revealed itself.
You know what was a big thing, actually? I got really into Ray Charles after, the whole John Hurt thing derailed me for sure because I stopped practicing the trumpet, and you can't really ever stop practicing the trumpet.
Yeah.
So that was a problem. And it took a really long time to figure out how to do the finger picking thing. That took me like a whole year.
Yeah, that's hard.
So that did derail me. And then I got really into Ray Charles. And then what really put it all together was I heard Snooks Eaglin.
Yeah.
And he did all of this kind of music, but by himself on the acoustic guitar. So he would play Ray Charles tunes, which were more like, jazz and soul and gospel, kind of like more chords and stuff. But he would also play just old blues. He would kind of play everything. And I was like, wait a minute. You can actually do whatever you want.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so that was,
at least
he was
could.
The aha guy. Yeah. When I heard him, I was like,
oh man. I saw Snooks at the Rock and Bowl in New Orleans one time. That was just like mind blowing. Yeah.
I bet. I never got to see him.
Well, that's because I'm much older than you are. And he's been dead for quite a long time. Fair, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Solid point.
Yeah, solid point. Yeah, I did a workshop with Elizabeth Cotton, and on stuff and I played with Pop Staples and all kinds of stuff.
Oh, wow. That's pretty cool.
Well, you got to play with a lot of cool people too. I want to ask you briefly just about your experience playing on the street, because busking is a kind of a litmus test. You're talking about discovery and capturing and managing to find your way inside this music. Playing on the street is a way to experiment, but also kind of see what you got.
Yeah, totally. I mean, it's hard, but it's an interesting process because you eventually start to find out what works and what doesn't, because you are out there trying to make money.
Yeah.
It's a capitalistic endeavor, really.
Yeah. So you're pandering to the audience in one way.
You're pandering so bad.
Yeah.
It is. It can be painful.
Yeah.
Yeah. But, you do figure out some things. You're finding out what really, really works and what doesn't really work. But it's also just a fun thing to see people kind of like light up after their daily commute. There's like rewards in it as well.
Yeah, and especially because there's a collegiality, there's a community that recognizes each other, and you're all staying in the same flop houses and.
Yeah, exactly.
Speaking of blurring lines, I come from more of the bluegrass world, but I saw that you played at Delfest, a festival that I played at a bunch too. And so the Honeydrops playing with Del McCoury, that's a thing one wouldn't naturally assume would happen.
Yeah, we didn't think he ended up recording some of our songs. He's recorded 2 of my songs.
Yeah.
Which is the coolest thing that ever happened to me. I can pretty much die happy.
There's more stuff that's cool that's happened to you, including
No, that's the coolest. In terms of musical career, that's the coolest. Yeah, that's the most I don't need anybody else to tell me that it's good anymore.
What about Bonnie Raitt covering one of your songs?
Yeah, that was, and her.
Yeah.
Between the two of them, I'm kind of like, okay.
Yeah.
I got all the approval I need.
Yeah. Well, Del and his band did record with, they recorded with the band from New Orleans of
Preservation
Hall Band.
Yeah.
So they are good at blurring those lines.
Oh yeah, and
that festival is blurry.
Yeah. It's very
in a lot of ways. Yeah.
Yeah, no, that festival is the most fun. The late night jams.
That's the one.
And Ronnie always comes out and plays with us. Yeah. And they've had us up. And Del is kind of the coolest person.
Yeah.
He's like a national treasure,
He is.
Talk about like source material, going back to the sources. He's the last kind of the last guy you can really hear him. And Larry Sparks is going to be there this year. But these are some of the last guys you can really hear sing that way.
Yeah.
That's his own thing. Like, people don't do that anymore. And that's the stuff that really gets me going. Seeing, because, you know, all the stuff that we have now around us, you know, it's kind of pixelated, computerized, standardized. And then you hear this old stuff and you hear those old ways of doing things that sound so, they just, I don't know. They just wake you up.
Well, it's everything now is at least a generation or two removed from the moment when it started, and Dell's pretty much close to the moment where it started.
Right, yeah.
And you can hear that stuff. And so now, am I right? It's like 17 years or 18 years the band's been together. It's been a while.
Yeah, this kind of like the current thing has been around for about 10 years.
10 years.
11? Has it been 11 now? I don't know. You tell me, Lorenzo. 12.
Yeah.
So the current incarnation has been
Blurry
12
a little
years.
bit, yeah.
And the years before that, we were trying to get things going.
Yeah.
And there was other incarnations before that.
Yeah. And the COVID, as I understand it, when there was a break in the action, just like playing the trumpet, when you stop practicing, it's not easy to get back on the horse.
Right.
And when you stopped singing, as I understand it, your voice had to kind of figure out a way to get back on.
How do you know these things? What the hell is
I was
going
there,
on?
don't you remember?
God damn. Yeah. I was losing my voice for like a year straight after. I would sing one show, and I couldn't sing the next one. But it went away.
Yeah.
But you know, I think I got used to singing in the studio or singing in the house, and then when you get up on stage, you start just pushing so much more air.
Yeah.
It's just a different thing, you know.
Well, I'm just going to say what I've already been saying, which is there are not many people who can look at the entire. It's the equivalent of like our Hooley Records catalog or something like that, and really resonate with every style that's captured and represented there. And you've done it. You've not only dig it, you not only like the music, but you've kind of decoded it. You figured it out and made some of that your own. That's hard to do, man. I'm very impressed.
Oh, thank you.
Lech, it's super cool.
Appreciate it.
Yeah, well, we're really glad you're here. We got a lot more music to get to. Welcome back, if you would, the California Honeydrops.
All right.